What's up, y'all? Truth Channel here again. Have you ever thought about this before? Take a deep look into what I'm saying here. You know how we have good and bad? We have right and wrong, left and right, up and down, hot and cold. Everything contradicts itself. You know, you have to sometimes ask this question. I'm not saying that it is good for people to be bad, but if you didn't have bad things and you didn't have people doing the bad things that they do, then we wouldn't be doing good things. There wouldn't be good things to do. There wouldn't be a reason to clean a toilet. There would be no reason to do much of anything, because I was just sitting here dozing off and it hit me like a ton of bricks for some reason. It's weird. Like, I was just having this thought in my head, this contradicting thought, like, you can't have good without bad. If we wouldn't need police officers, and we wouldn't need a military if there wasn't these criminals and other bad guys, these terrorists and other people that are doing stuff to get themselves into trouble. There's so many examples, but I can't think of every single one right now. But it's almost like we have to have bad stuff. We have to have bad people. And I'm not saying that I like when bad things happen to people. It's horrible that these things have to happen to us. But when I look back, do you know, even though some of it was horrible going through, and it was just really hard and frustrating and just a lot of it absurd, but if it wasn't for the bad things in my life, I would have never got better. I would have never got better. If I wouldn't have went through being a drug addict, if I wouldn't have had people that I called friends, kind of diss me and, shun away from me like that, I wouldn't be a loner probably today by myself doing my own thing. There's this thing with my music too. It's like I'm 34 and I have been making beats since I was 14 years old, and I still haven't got to where I have the sounds that I really need, and I have the drums, and I have the setup to where I am comfortable with that setup, and I have a workflow. I still don't have a way to record, like a microphone to put into, a audio interface and into the computer and all that stuff. I have things here that I make music with. There is some nice sounds on them, but there isn't a lot. But from me going 20 years without those really nice sounds that I really want, it has driven me to get better with my music, and it's made me discover so many new things about how to shape sounds and how to put sounds together, because I just didn't have all of the great sounds just handed right to me. I don't have like these great strings and all these great brass sounds and choir and bell and, angelic sounds, if that's what you want to call them. Ambience sounds, atmospheric sounds. I don't have all those right now. I only have a few nice sounds to work with, and I already kind of used them so much that when I get to the better sounds, it's going to be like, it's going to be like a field day. It's going to be so great to when I get that. And 20 years of preparing for this. Like right now, I don't have enough money to get. I want to get it's called an Akai Live. I want to get that because I can sample my own sounds onto there, not other people's stuff. I'm not really a person that samples too much of other people's things. I try to sample my very own sounds from my own keyboards and my own, synthesizers and beat machines and my own voice, But you can sample on it, the Akai Live. You can do 128 tracks, and there's so much you can do on this thing. It's a whole studio in and of itself. And I know that music, but it all ties into everything. Everything is connected. When they went to the moon in, I believe, 1969, there was so many bad things that happened. Men got, killed, and a lot of bad things and mistakes had to happen for them to get to the moon and do that mission. A lot of bad stuff. And then look at World War II. There was so much turmoil and tragedy and craziness, lunacy. Veterans describe it as lunacy. That's the word that they use. They say war is lunacy. And look what it's done. It has given us peace for a while, for a time. But are we going to let our ignorance override that? See, that's why it's a good and a bad thing to see these contradictions. You see, in and of itself, the contradiction is bad and good. It's the yin and the yang of life. No, I don't like bad stuff. I don't like when I wake up miserable sometimes. I don't like when I feel defeated. I don't like when it's freezing cold and I have to go outside. Then I got to get warmed up. I don't like a lot of things in life, but yet, if it wasn't for these things, there wouldn't be a world. There would be nothing really if it wasn't for these contradictions. There wouldn't be nothing. And we don't ask ourselves this enough. We don't get into these topics enough and discuss them. We just see bad as bad. I understand people kill people, that is bad. People hurt animals, that is bad. People hurt each other, that is bad. People injure each other, that is bad. But if you're just seeing bad, every little bad, like you were a drug addict at one time and then you got clean. You were in a bad relationship and you learned from the bad relationship. You went and got work done on your car that didn't get right, and then you had to get work done from someone else because it didn't get done right. Now you know not to go to that person or do that same thing again. And it teaches you to do the better thing. It teaches you to do the good thing. I don't like using the word good, but I'm using good and bad as my example here. But this contradiction to me is like I said, it's good and bad, but it's more of a good thing. And I don't like to pick and choose. And it's really weird. It's really weird, the irony in this. It's I'm picking your brain here, like I'm picking my brain. The irony is so much of an irony that life is an irony. Everything is an irony. You know, if you're going too fast, sooner or later you got to slow down. If you jump too high, you're going to have more distance, you know, you're going to have a harder fall. The higher you jump, the lower you jump, the less of, a fall. It's everything contradicts itself. If you don't get enough sleep, you're going to be more tired. If you sleep too much, you're going to feel like crap. I'm not explaining this exactly right, and that's okay. I don't have to explain it exactly right. As long as we sit and think about these things. Listen, it was a bad thing when you were a drug addict, but did it not teach you to not do drugs? Did it not teach you to not stick a needle in your arm? Did it not teach you to not hit the pipe? Did it not teach you to go out in the streets and prostitute yourself? Did it not teach you that you don't need to do those things? And then, see, it's harder to use an example on the good side and going to the bad side. It's harder to use an example that way. See, it shifts. When you explain the bad things, you can get to the better things. But I'm trying to find an example here of where I can use good that goes bad. Okay, here's one. If you eat too much good stuff, like food that you like, you're going to get sick. That turns into a bad thing. If you have too much sex, for a man, you're going to have blue balls. A woman, your vagina is going to hurt. Sorry for that one, but whatever, it is what it is. If you exercise too much, exercise is a great thing, but if you do too much of it, you're overexerting yourself. You're going to pull a muscle or do something bad in that area. So everything, just think about this, how everything contradicts itself, and start looking at stuff differently from how you've seen it before. Bad necessarily isn't bad, and good isn't necessarily good. That is the contradiction within the contradiction of the irony of it, if that makes any sense to anybody. So I thought I'd pick your mind for a minute here, as I like picking at my own mind. So I got to head into the bathroom here. It's the morning. I just woke up, so I'll catch y'all later.